I never thought my life would spiral into chaos because of a video game. My name is Jack, and I was married to a woman named Tiffany for almost 5 years. At first, things were great. We were that couple everyone envied. We moved into a cozy two-bedroom apartment in the city, shared our dreams, and built a life together. Tiffany was beautiful, witty, and ambitious. I was your average guy, working a 9-to-5 job while trying to pursue my passion for gaming on the side. Gaming had always been a part of my life. I was never a pro, just a hobbyist who enjoyed online multiplayer games with friends. I often joked with Tiffany about becoming a famous esports player one day, but she always laughed it off. "Jack, you're never going to make a living playing video games," she'd say, rolling her eyes. I brushed it off, thinking it was just her way of keeping me grounded. But as time went on, I started to notice changes in her behavior. Tiffany, who would typically spend her evenings with me, would suddenly become distant. She claimed she was busy with work or had plans with her friends. I noticed she was increasingly glued to her phone, often texting and giggling at something on the screen. I tried to brush it off. Everyone has their moments, right? Then, one evening, I came home from work early. I had planned to surprise her with dinner, but instead I found her sitting on the couch, engrossed in her phone, with a look of excitement on her face that I hadn't seen in a long time. It felt off. At that moment, my gut twisted with an uneasy feeling. I took a seat next to her, trying to engage her in conversation, but she barely responded. My suspicion grew when I overheard her talking on the phone late at night. "I can't wait to see you again, just keep it between us," she whispered, and I was frozen in shock. My heart raced as I pieced together the puzzle. I knew something was terribly wrong. I started watching her more closely. I rummaged through our shared computer one day, hoping to find some clues. That's when I stumbled upon her social media accounts. She had been following a professional gamer, someone I recognized from online tournaments, and from their DMs, it was clear they were more than just friends. The messages were flirty, filled with inside jokes and plans to meet up. I felt sick, the betrayal stung like a knife in my gut. The next few days were a blur. I oscillated between anger and disbelief. I confronted her with what I found, expecting her to deny it. Instead, she became defensive. "You don't understand, it's just gaming. He's a professional, I'm just supporting him," she exclaimed, her voice dripping with frustration. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. The confrontation quickly spiraled out of control. "You think I'm cheating on you, you're just jealous because I'm having fun," she shouted, her eyes narrowing at me. I was furious and hurt, but I tried to keep my composure. "Tiffany, it's not just fun, you're in love with him, aren't you?" I pressed. "Of course not, you're being ridiculous." She snapped back, but her voice trembled and I could see a flicker of guilt in her eyes. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see how much she was hurting me. I was lost in a maelstrom of emotions as we argued. Back and forth, each accusation cutting deeper than the last. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt a wave of despair wash over me. I didn't want to lose her. I loved her. But how could I stay with someone who'd betrayed my trust so completely? The emotional impact of her actions set in like a heavy fog, and I was suffocating under the weight of it all. I knew I had to make a decision, one that would change the course of my life forever. And as I replayed the events in my mind, I realized I could turn this pain into something stronger. I had always dreamed of competing in esports, but I had brushed the thought aside. Now I had a motivation to pursue it wholeheartedly. I would show her that I could be successful, that I could be someone. I decided then and there that I would become the esports champion I always joked about. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life and proving that I was worth more than her betrayal. The spark of determination ignited something inside of me, and I was ready to turn my life around. Little did I know how much this journey would involve, nor the consequences it would bring. The path ahead was uncertain, but I was ready to face it head-on. As I lay there, the betrayal began to morph into fuel, and I made a silent vow. I would rise from the ashes of this heartbreak, and I would leave her behind a champion. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. I spent countless nights glued to my computer, sharpening my gaming skills. It wasn't just about playing, it was about immersing myself in the esports community. I joined online forums, connected with fellow players, and started streaming my gameplay sessions. I figured if I was going to chase this dream, I might as well dive in head first. Every time I logged on, I felt a rush of adrenaline. The thrill of competing against others, the camaraderie among players, it was intoxicating. I could almost forget the pain of betrayal, at least for a little while. Yet in the back of my mind, the image of Tiffany with that professional gamer loomed like a shadow. I used that anger as fuel. Every loss became a lesson, every victory a reminder that I was moving forward. As weeks passed, I became more dedicated. I started entering local tournaments, and to my surprise, I began to win. It felt incredible to achieve something on my own, and with each victory, my confidence soared. I could see the potential in myself that I hadn't recognized before. It was exhilarating. Meanwhile, Tiffany remained oblivious to my transformation. She continued her deceit, convinced that I was too engulfed in my gaming to notice. One night after a particularly intense gaming session, I found her sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. I glanced over and caught a glimpse of a DM from the same professional gamer. My heart sank again. "Who are you talking to?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Just some friends from work," she replied too quickly. Her eyes darted toward the screen before she quickly locked her phone. "Right," I said, my jaw tightening. "You know, you should really be careful with those friends." Her expression shifted slightly, but she quickly masked it with a smirk. "Why, are you jealous?" "Not jealous, just concerned." "Concerned, please. You're just upset because I'm having a good time. Maybe you should join me instead of isolating yourself in your games." I couldn't help but feel a rise of anger. It was infuriating to see her dismiss my feelings so casually. But I took a deep breath and decided not to engage with her toxic energy. Instead, I focused on my goals. It was during one of these local tournaments that I met a guy named Mike. He was an experienced player and had a reputation for being a mentor to newcomers like me. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared passion for gaming and our competitive natures. He could see the fire in me, and he encouraged me to pursue my dreams more seriously. "Jack, you've got potential. If you put in the work, you could really make an impact in the esports scene," he said one evening after I placed in the top 3 at a local event. That conversation ignited another spark in me. The more I trained, the more I realized that I wanted to take it to the next level. Mike introduced me to a new team that was forming, a group of skilled players aiming to compete on a national level. I felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was a big step forward, but I knew it was what I needed to do. Meanwhile, Tiffany started to notice the change in me. My focus was shifting. I was no longer the complacent husband who would sit around and watch reality shows with her. I was dedicated to my craft, and it bothered her. I could see jealousy creeping into her demeanor. She would often dismiss my passion, insisting that I was wasting my time, but I paid her no mind. I was determined to succeed, and with each day I felt closer to my goal. Then came the turning point. After entering more tournaments and practicing rigorously, I was invited to a regional esports competition. The stakes were high, and I knew this was my chance to prove myself. But the night before the competition, Tiffany confronted me. "Jack, are you really going to prioritize this stupid game over our marriage?" she asked, her voice dripping with disdain. I felt the weight of her words, but I also felt a surge of clarity. "Tiffany, I'm not prioritizing the game over you. I'm prioritizing myself. You've made it clear where your priorities lie. Don't give me that crap. You think you can just ignore me and focus on your little fantasy." I took a deep breath, forcing down the anger bubbling inside me. "This isn't a fantasy, Tiffany. This is my life, and I'm finally doing something for myself." That was the moment I realized I had broken free from her control. I no longer needed her validation or approval. I was embarking on a path that was entirely mine, and I wasn't looking back. As the competition day approached, I felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. I was ready to face my fears, to show the world what I was capable of, and to rise up from the ashes of betrayal. Tiffany's voice faded into the background as I focused on my goal, to become not just a player but a champion. I didn't know what the future held, but I was ready to embrace it. This was my chance to rewrite my story, to take control of my life, and to leave behind everything that had held me back. I was ready to rise, and nothing would stop me now. The day of the regional esports competition arrived, and I could hardly contain my excitement. As I made my way to the venue, I felt a mix of nerves and adrenaline coursing through my veins. The building buzzed with energy, players were warming up, fans were chattering, and the palpable anticipation of competition filled the air. This was it, the moment I had been working toward. I had formed a solid team with Mike and a few other skilled players. We had practiced relentlessly over the past weeks, honing our strategies and building camaraderie. As we huddled together before the tournament started, I could see the determination in everyone's eyes. We were more than just players. We were a unit and we were going to give it our all. But just as I was soaking in the atmosphere, a familiar face caught my eye. Tiffany was in the crowd, dressed in a flashy outfit that screamed attention. My heart sank when I saw her, and a wave of anger washed over me. I had hoped to avoid her, especially on a day when I needed to focus. What was she doing here? As if sensing my gaze, she turned and locked eyes with me. A smirk danced on her lips and I felt my blood boil. Why did she have to show up now? I had made a commitment to myself to rise above her betrayal, and yet here she was trying to rattle me. "Jack, I didn't know you were competing. I wanted to cheer you on." She called out, her voice loud enough to catch the attention of nearby players. I clenched my jaw, fighting the urge to shout back. "This isn't a game, Tiffany. This is serious to me," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Of course it is, but you could have at least told me you were competing. I want to support you." I shook my head, knowing all too well that her presence was more about her ego than actual support. "This isn't about you and me anymore. Just stay out of it." I turned my back to her and joined my teammates who were already strategizing for our first match. But I could feel Tiffany's eyes on me, her energy a dark cloud hovering over my focus. I had to push her out of my mind. This was my chance to prove myself, and I couldn't let her distract me. The competition kicked off, and our team moved smoothly through the early rounds. Each match was intense, filled with nail-biting moments and adrenaline. I could feel the thrill of the game pulsing through my veins, drowning out any thoughts of Tiffany. We were winning, and it felt incredible. But after winning a particularly tough match, I glanced up and saw Tiffany again. This time, she was chatting with a group of fans who had gathered around her. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of anger as I noticed her laughing and flirting with them, her demeanor so carefree while I was fighting for my dreams. The contrast left a bitter taste in my mouth. "Focus, Jack," Mike reminded me, nudging my shoulder. "We can't let anything distract us right now. We're on a roll." He was right. I needed to shake off my frustration and stay locked in. I took a deep breath, clearing my mind of the chaos. "You're right. Let's go for the win." As the tournament progressed, we battled our way to the semifinals. The excitement and camaraderie among our team. Electric. With each victory, I felt a growing sense of accomplishment. This was what I had been craving. This was my moment, my validation. But just as we were about to head into the final match, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from Tiffany. "Can we talk after the tournament?" My heart sank again. I didn't want to deal with her right now. I quickly dismissed the notification and turned my attention back to my team. "All right, guys, we've got one more match to play. Let's take it home." The final match was intense. The stakes were higher than ever and the competition was fierce. As we battled it out on the screen, I felt the rush of adrenaline like never before. Every call, every move mattered, and we were performing flawlessly. The team synergy was at its peak, and I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in a long time. When we secured the final victory, the arena erupted in cheers. I could hardly believe it. We were the champions of the regional competition. The rush of excitement and pride surged through me like a tidal wave. I had done it. I had proven to myself and to everyone else that I was capable of greatness. As we celebrated, taking photos and receiving congratulations, I felt a wave of emotions wash over me. But even in my moment of victory, I couldn't shake the feeling of Tiffany's looming presence. She approached me amidst the celebrations, and I could see the mix of annoyance and disbelief in her eyes. "Wow, Jack, I didn't think you had it in you," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Thanks," I replied, trying to keep my composure. I didn't want her negativity to ruin my moment. I mean, I guess all those hours of playing paid off, huh? She continued, crossing her arms. I felt the anger rising again but pushed it down. Tiffany, not now. This is my moment and I don't want to deal with your attitude. Why not? You've made it clear that gaming is more important than our marriage. She shot back, her voice rising. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. I'm not doing this here. I fought hard for this and I won't let you take it away from me. With that, I turned my back to her, rejoining my teammates who were celebrating our well-earned victory. But as the adrenaline of the win coursed through me, I knew that the battle for my own happiness was far from over. What had started as a journey of self-discovery and determination had morphed into a confrontation with my past. I had achieved something incredible, but I was still entangled in the drama that Tiffany had created, and I had to find a way to cut those ties once and for all. The taste of victory was sweet, but the lingering bitterness of betrayal remained. As I looked around at the jubilant faces of my team, I realized that it was time to take the next step, both for my gaming career and my future without Tiffany. I needed to stand firm in my newfound identity as a champion and finally confront the reality of our shattered relationship. After the tournament, the elation of victory felt bittersweet. I was on cloud nine for my accomplishments, but the reality of my relationship with Tiffany loomed over me like a dark cloud. I couldn't shake off the feeling that everything had changed irreparably. I had crossed a threshold into a new world, one filled with opportunities and excitement, yet the baggage of my past was threatening to pull me back. In the days following our win, I started receiving offers from sponsors and teams interested in my skills. I was finally being recognized for my talent, and I felt a sense of validation I had long craved. But there was Tiffany, still in the background, trying to reinsert herself into my life. One evening, she insisted on meeting me for dinner to talk. I was hesitant but curious about what she wanted. I knew we had to confront our issues, but I wasn't sure I was ready to handle her manipulations again. We met at a small restaurant, and the tension in the air was palpable as we sat across from each other. I could see the expression on her face, a strange mix of concern and defiance. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about us," she started, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "Yeah, I can imagine," I said, keeping my tone neutral. I had no desire to play her games anymore. "I know I messed up, but I want to be part of your life again. I was proud of you at the tournament," she continued, her eyes searching mine for any hint of reconciliation. "You've become someone I can admire." Her words felt insincere. I had spent so long feeling inadequate in her eyes, and now she wanted to come back because I was gaining recognition. "You didn't seem very proud when I was practicing every night," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "That's not fair, Jack. I didn't understand what this meant to you." "I thought it was just a phase," she said, her voice rising. I sighed, feeling the frustration bubble inside me. "You thought wrong. This isn't just a phase for me anymore. I've found something I'm passionate about and I'm finally succeeding. I'm not going to let you undermine that, Tiffany." She leaned in closer, her expression shifting to one of desperation. "Please, I miss us. I miss the way things used to be. Can't we just start over?" "Start over?" I echoed, incredulous. "You want to start over after you cheated on me? You think that's just something we can forget?" I was confused. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she pleaded, her voice cracking. I felt a mixture of anger and sadness wash over me. How could she still make this about her feelings? "You're right, you didn't mean to hurt me. You meant to hurt me in a way that would make you feel better about yourself. I was just a placeholder for you." Her face flushed with embarrassment, but I could see the gears turning in her mind. "But we can work on it. I can support you in your gaming career now. I'll attend all your events. I'll be there for you." She insisted, desperation creeping into her tone. I stared at her, weighing my options. Part of me wanted to believe that we could reconcile, but another part of me knew better. "No, Tiffany, I'm not going to let you back into my life just because I've found success. I deserve more than that." With that, I stood up and walked away from the table. I could feel her eyes on my back pleading, but I didn't look back. The walk home was filled with a mix of anger and clarity. I had finally stood up for myself. And in doing so, I had taken a significant step toward healing. Over the next few weeks, I focused on my gaming career. I threw myself into training and preparation for upcoming competitions. I played tirelessly, pushing myself to the limits, and the results spoke for themselves. I was gaining traction in the esports world, and with the support of my new team and fans, I felt unstoppable. But Tiffany wasn't done. She started showing up at events, trying to insert herself into my new life. She'd show up at tournaments with fake smiles, pretending to be supportive and friendly with my teammates. Each time, I felt the anger bubble up inside me, but I refused to let her get to me. One night, after a particularly successful stream, I received a message from her. "Can we talk? I miss you." I hesitated, my heart racing. I had worked so hard to distance myself from her manipulation, and now she was trying to pull me back in. I considered ignoring her message, but something deep down compelled me to respond. "Why now, Tiffany?" I typed back, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Because I realize how much I've messed up. I've been watching you succeed, and I want to be part of that. I want to support you truly this time." I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and pity. "You want to support me, or do you just want to bask in my success?" Her reply came quickly. "I want to support you. I want to prove I've changed." I spent the night tossing and turning, unsure of what to do. I had finally begun to carve a new path for myself, one that didn't include her. But part of me was still tethered to the past. Did I owe her a chance to explain herself? Or would that be yet another trap? Eventually, I decided to meet her one last time. I needed closure, a definitive end to what we had. I couldn't keep looking back while trying to build my future. We met at a cafe, and her expression was a mix of nervousness and hope. "Thanks for coming," she said, her voice soft. "I just want to hear what you have to say," I replied, keeping my tone even. "I know I hurt you, and I can't take that back, but I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I realized that I was selfish and didn't appreciate you when I had you. I want to be better," she said, her eyes searching mine for understanding. "Better," I echoed, arching an eyebrow. "You think a few apologies will fix what you did? You hurt me in one of the worst ways possible." "I know, but I can't change the past. I can only change how I act moving forward. I want to be your biggest supporter, Jack. I want to help you succeed." By showing up at events and pretending everything is okay, I asked, feeling my patience wear thin. "You didn't believe in me before. Why should I believe in you now?" Her face fell, and I could see the regret etched on her features. "Because I've changed. I've been trying to change for you. I want to be a part of your life again. I'll work hard to prove it." I paused, weighing the situation. I had worked too hard to let the past consume me again. "Tiffany, I appreciate your words, but I can't go back to being that person who was okay with being second to someone else's whims. I found my passion, and I'm not letting anyone take that away from me again." With that, I stood up, feeling a sense of finality wash over me. "I wish you well, but I need to focus on my future." As I walked away from that cafe, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was finally ready to close that chapter of my life. I had fought hard to become who I was, and there was no turning back now. I resolved to chase my dreams and become the champion I knew I could be, without Tiffany dragging me down. I was ready to embrace my new life, one free of betrayal and filled with possibility. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was determined to face it with strength and resilience. I had finally found my voice, and I wasn't going to let anyone silence it again. With the closure of my past relationship, I felt a renewed sense of freedom. I was no longer tethered to the emotional baggage that had haunted me for so long. My focus shifted entirely to my gaming career, and I was determined to make a name for myself in the esports community. Over the next few months, my dedication paid off. I secured a spot on a competitive team that was gaining traction in the tournament circuit. The camaraderie among my new teammates was invigorating, and I felt supported and encouraged like never before. We trained relentlessly, pushing each other to be our best, and I thrived in that environment. My schedule became intense: early morning practice sessions, late-night gaming marathons, and constant strategy meetings. I was living and breathing esports, and it was exhilarating. The recognition I had always craved was finally becoming a reality. I was invited to national competitions and even received sponsorships from gaming brands. The validation felt incredible, but there were still moments when I'd catch myself thinking about Tiffany. Though I worked hard to forget her, I couldn't completely shake the feelings of betrayal and anger. I had transformed my pain into fuel for success, yet the scars of that relationship lingered. I often wondered whether she truly had changed, or if it was just another ploy to draw me back in. I made a mental note to stay vigilant. I wouldn't allow myself to be hurt again. In the midst of my rising success, I received an invitation to an elite esports championship in a major city. It was a significant milestone, and my team was pumped. This was our chance to showcase our skills on a larger platform, and I couldn't wait to make my mark. But as the event approached, I began to feel the familiar anxiety creep in. The day of the championship arrived, and the energy in the arena was electric. Thousands of fans had gathered, their excitement palpable. As we took our positions, I could feel the adrenaline racing through my veins. I had dedicated my life to this moment, and I wasn't going to let anything distract me now. As we warmed up, I spotted a familiar face in the crowd. My heart sank as I recognized Tiffany. She was there, waving enthusiastically as if she belonged. Anger surged through me, and I gritted my teeth. How could she still be trying to insert herself into my life after everything? Just ignore her, Mike said, noticing my reaction. Focus on the game. Taking his advice, I tried to block her out. The matches began and we fought hard, winning one round after another. I was laser-focused, executing strategies and collaborating with my teammates seamlessly. The thrill of competition fueled me and we made it to the finals. As we prepared for the final match, I glanced over at Tiffany. She was chatting with fans, seemingly enjoying the atmosphere. I felt a mix of anger and confusion. Why was she here? She didn't deserve to share in this victory. The final match was intense. The stakes were high and the pressure was on. My heart raced as I communicated with my teammates, strategizing our approach. We played as if we were one cohesive unit, each player anticipating the moves of the others. But in the heat of the moment, I lost focus for just a split second. That moment was all it took for the opposing team to capitalize on my mistake, and our momentum shifted. I scrambled to regain composure, but I could feel the tension mounting. We fought hard, but ultimately we lost the championship. It felt like a crushing blow, and the entire arena echoed with the cheers of the opposing team. I stood there, frozen in disbelief. All my hard work, my dedication. It had culminated in this moment, and I felt like I had let everyone down. As my teammates rallied around me, I could see the disappointment in their eyes. "We'll get them next time," Mike said, trying to lift my spirits, but I felt hollow. And then, amidst the chaos of the post-match celebration, there was Tiffany rushing toward me. "Jack, you played amazing. I'm so proud of you," she exclaimed, her voice cutting through the fog of my disappointment. I turned to face her, my anger bubbling to the surface. "What do you want, Tiffany? This isn't a victory for you to celebrate. Can't we just take a moment? I came all this way to see you," she said, her eyes wide and pleading. I shook my head, feeling the surge of emotions crashing over me. "You don't get to just swoop in and act like everything is okay. You lost that right when you cheated on me." She flinched at my words, and I could see the hurt in her eyes, but I didn't care. I had worked too hard to let her back into my life now. "I just wanted to support you," she said, her voice trembling. "Support? You don't know the meaning of the word," I snapped back, feeling the anger consume me. "You think a few cheers can erase the damage you did? I'm done with your games." With that, I turned away from her, rejoining my teammates who were still processing the loss. The moment felt heavy, filled with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. I couldn't allow Tiffany to disrupt what I had built. In the days following the championship, I evaluated my feelings. I was disappointed not only for the loss but also for how easily Tiffany's presence had thrown me off my game. I had allowed her to affect me, and I refused to let that happen again. With renewed determination, I redoubled my training. I focused on my gameplay and pushed through the loss, channeling my frustration into something productive. I knew I still had a long way to go, but I was willing to fight for my dreams. And as I prepared for future competitions, I vowed to leave Tiffany and her manipulations behind for good. I had become a champion in my own right, and I Wasn't going to let anyone take that away from me again. The journey ahead would be challenging, but I was ready to embrace it, knowing that my success was no longer tied to anyone else. It was time to forge my own path, and I would do it without the shadows of the past hanging over me. I was done looking back. The future was mine to conquer. With each passing day, I felt the weight of Tiffany's betrayal lifting off my shoulders. I was no longer fixated on past pain. Instead, I was focused on building a future for myself, one that I had earned through hard work and resilience. The weeks turned into months, and as I continued to climb the ranks in the esports world, I found a new family in my team. We bonded over late-night practices, shared strategies, and celebrated victories together. The camaraderie was unlike anything I had experienced before. I realized that these friendships were built on mutual respect and understanding, not manipulation or deceit. Training became my sanctuary. I pushed myself harder than ever, honing my skills and refining my gameplay. I watched countless replays, analyzed my performance, and sought feedback from my teammates. Each day, I grew stronger and my confidence soared. I was no longer the unsure guy lingering in the shadows of others' successes. I was becoming a force to be reckoned with. Then came another major tournament, a national championship that would put my skills and determination to the ultimate test. I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was my moment to showcase everything I had learned and to prove to myself and others that I was deserving of my place in the esports community. As the tournament date approached, something shifted within me. I could feel the energy building not just among my team but within myself. Every practice session, every strategy discussion, every shared laugh was a reminder of how far I had come. I was ready, not just to compete but to win. On the day of the tournament, the atmosphere was electric. The venue buzzed with fans, players, and the thrill of competition. I felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins as I stepped onto the stage with my team. We were ready to fight. As we played through the rounds, I felt more powerful than ever. Each match was hard-fought, but we worked seamlessly as a unit. I felt like I was in a groove, executing strategies and making plays that seemed effortless. The crowd roared with excitement as we advanced through the brackets, and I reveled in the energy. Finally, we reached the finals. This was it, the culmination of all my hard work, all my struggles, and all my determination. I could see the trophy gleaming in the background, a symbol of everything I had fought for. The final match was fierce. The opposing team was skilled and the stakes were high. As the game progressed, I felt the pressure mounting, but I reminded myself of everything I had overcome. I thought of the late nights spent practicing, the losses that had fueled my fire, and the support of my teammates who believed in me. In the final moments of the match, I made a critical play that turned the tide in our favor. I could hear the crowd erupt in cheers as we secured our victory. We had done it. We were champions. The exhilaration washed over me like a wave, and I couldn't contain my joy. As I stood on the stage, holding the trophy aloft, tears of happiness filled my eyes. This was more than just a win. It was a testament to my journey, to my resilience, and to my refusal to let betrayal define me. I had risen from the ashes of heartbreak and emerged stronger than ever. In the aftermath of our victory, there were interviews, celebrations, and congratulations pouring in from all sides. But amidst the chaos, I found clarity. I had achieved my dreams, and I had done it on my terms without relying on anyone else. It was then that I realized how far I had come, not just as a gamer but as a person. I had learned valuable lessons about self-worth, trust, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who genuinely support me. My experience with Tiffany had been painful, but it had also set me on a path to discovering my true potential. As the tournament faded into memory, I took a moment to reflect on my journey. I had faced challenges, and I had conquered them. I had built a new life from the ground up, one filled with passion, purpose, and genuine connections. And while Tiffany's shadow would always linger in the recesses of my mind, I had learned to embrace the lessons of the past without letting them control my future. I was ready to forge ahead, ready to take on new challenges and explore new horizons. I stepped into my future with confidence, knowing that I had the strength to overcome anything that came my way. I was Jack, an esports champion, and this was just the beginning.